Tonight, anti-Israel protests continue while Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with hostages' family members in Jerusalem as he seeks a deal for the release of hostages and tells Hamas the time is now for a ceasefire. America's hope starts now. From the NTD Global Headquarters in New York, I'm Kelly Wright, and this is America's Hope. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this hour. Our focus tonight is all about America and Israel dealing with the fallout of the Israel-Hamas war. Tonight, we'll hear from Secretary of State Antony Blinken as he speaks to a group of hostages' family members. New York Mayor Eric Adams on the protests that are going on throughout America. Sharren Haskell, a member of the Knesset. Susie Ozsinay Aranya of Israel's government press office. And we'll hear from other people that I met with in Israel who are demanding Hamas to release the hostages now. We've got a lot to discuss tonight. Let's get right to it. We begin with the anti-Israel protests. Overnight, you may have seen this, NYPD, New York Police Department, New York's finest, removed pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian protesters from inside Hamilton Hall on the campus of Columbia University. That after the university president called for the police to remove the unruly protesters who had barricaded themselves inside the building. New York Mayor Eric Adams says the city, the nation, and the world cannot afford to allow young people to be radicalized.
That's our flag, folks. Don't take over our buildings and put another flag up. That may be fine to other people, but it's not to me. My uncle died defending this country, and these men and women put their lives on the line. And it's despicable that schools will allow another country flag to fly in our country. So blame me for being proud to be an American. And I thank Commissioner Daughtry for putting that flag back up. We're not surrendering our way of life to anyone.
And in Los Angeles, police were called in to stop the violence from protesters on the campus of UCLA. Those protesters began clashing with Jewish residents who were trying to stop them. While protests against Israel continue globally, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Both are trying to find efforts to reach a deal for a ceasefire with the release of hostages. Blinken says the time is now for Hamas to accept the deal. During his visit to Jerusalem, Blinken stopped to talk to some family members of hostages, many of them thanking him for being there.
Thank you, Blinken. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Blinken.
We will not rest until everyone, man, woman, soldier, civilian, young, old, is back home. So please keep strong, keep the faith. We will be with you every single day until we get this done.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken speaking with some of the families of the hostages who are still holding out hope that all of their loved ones will be returned. Now, during my recent visit to Israel, I met with hostages' family members, quite a few of them, as well as citizens who are hoping to see all of the hostages released. Here's what they have to say.
This young man, Avinatan Or, was my student just a year and a half ago. I'm not a school teacher. I teach engineers in high tech. I teach technical English and business English. He's an electronics engineer. And he was taken along with his girlfriend, Noah Argamani.
From the Nova Festival.
From the Nova Festival. For 3.5 hours, they hid in a ditch. He covered her, he put an olive green dress on her, sort of camouflage, and he covered her, tried to cover her with his body. Terrorists and Gazan civilians were running amok throughout the area all of that morning, until late afternoon, in fact. They found them, they pulled Noah out and put her on a motorcycle. Avinatan went along with them willingly. You can see him. surrounded by people who are not Hamas fighters. These are Gazan gang members who are smaller than him. He has his hands clasped behind his back, but he walked along to try to protect her. And by the way, these gangs that overran the area and the kibbutzim and took hostages, we know from returned hostages that when they got across the Gazan border, they sold their hostages to Hamas. They got a price, again, pay for slay. They got an incentive price for everybody they took. Hamas took all of these young men into tunnels. We know this. And this is where they are to this day. We only pray that they're alive.
Your student, what kind of man is he?
He's a wonderful young man, very caring. He lives in Tel Aviv. His family's very Orthodox, and he's on very, very good terms with the family. He was there for the holiday right before the festival. He's sweet, he's loyal, he's also huge. He's 197, that's 6'5".
Wow.
He could have been an NBA player, and very strong. We don't know anything about his situation right now or his condition.
Do you see peace ever coming to the Middle East between Israel and Palestinians?
You had asked me on October 6th, I would have a different answer. Maybe you can pan around to my friends here. These are my friends who are fighting for peace every day. Women wage peace. Very, very steadfastly come here every day to give this message and go to Jerusalem also. And one of our members, Vivian Silver, one of our leaders of Women Wage Peace, was very tragically killed in her home on Kibbutz Be'eri on October 7th by the Hamas, murdered by the Hamas terrorists. It took them 3 weeks to identify her body. We thought she was a hostage. In fact, she was burned alive in her safe room.
You're out here crying out for them,
Yes.
the hostages.
Yes. We're here since the third week of the war. And at the beginning, we thought our founder, Vivian Silver, was also a hostage. And then 2 weeks into our little demo here, we were told that she was killed on the 7th.
So you had this hope initially that she was alive.
Yes, but she wasn't the only victim of the attack. We also had another friend, Wright, and
Your son?
yes, exactly.
Her son.
Her son was a hostage for 100 days, and then on the 100th day, he was murdered as well. So that's the reason we're here. Every day is a matter of life or death for them. We are very much in favor of a humanitarian ceasefire. And what we say as a movement, we are Women Wage Peace, is that needs to be only the beginning of conversations to take us out the cycle of violence that is unbearable.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far of America's Hope. If you'd like to see it in its entirety, just click on the link below. Thanks for watching.